Welcome back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning back into another episode of Out of Bounds. This is episode 8. What's the title? What's the title of this one? The real reason why I drove across the country. Let's call it that. Welcome back. Welcome back to Out of Bounds. Jesus, that's loud. Okay. All right. Here we go. My name is Danell Leyva. Hopefully you already knew that. My name's... Can I start over? No. I'm not talking to anybody. All right. Welcome back to Out of Bounds. I actually wanted to get... Okay. We're good. I wanted to talk about some stuff. Last week we had a couple technical difficulties, if you will. For some reason, the audio just decided to stop recording. The camera just decided to stop recording. We're all good this time. Ready to go. We're in a rhythm. One of the main reasons, by the way, actually, why I stopped filming all of these episodes for so long after I actually came to Miami and I got here was because where I was living, I'm living now with my cousin, and where I was living at that point, I was living with my aunt, and in my aunt's house, there's actually like a small baby there, and there's never a quiet moment. And when there is a quiet moment, it's because the baby is sleeping, so keep it quiet, right? And on top of all of that, I had a computer that she was very old, and she went... and I had to buy a new one. And it took me a while to buy a new one. And then there was a lot of things that I was dealing with personally that we will get into in a second. But that's the main reason why I actually stopped filming for so long. I did want to say, officially, starting this week, the episodes will be longer. They'll be at least like 30 minutes, 35 minutes, maybe less, maybe a little more. And I'm only going to do it once a week. I'm going to do it on Saturdays. It's a much easier way for me to do it, for me to be putting these out. I've been fortunate enough where recently I've actually been doing a lot of more things, but with that comes less time. So of course, I'm only going to have a certain amount of time to actually film these and edit them and post them and all this stuff. But the great thing about this whole new situation is actually that I officially have a producer now that's going to help me out with this whole shebang, and her name is Sarah Flores, and she's amazing, and I'm shouting her out, and she's going to be angry at me, but she's honestly really, really cool. So she's going to be helping me out with these episodes. Hopefully I can convince her one day to actually be on an episode because she's a really cool person. But yeah, so for me to actually talk about the main real reason why I drove across the country from LA to Miami, we actually kind of, for a little bit, we got to go all the way back to 2015 actually, when my ex-girlfriend and I, Julie, actually started dating. Then. Things were, super casual at first. Neither of us was looking for a relationship, and then we got into a relationship, and then, things started to get serious quickly. And it was great. It was really nice. The problem was that there was one point where one of her family members was like really against me for a lot of different reasons. They came along as time went on, but it was a lot. But one of the main reasons was because as time went on, she was about to start going to college and I was moving to LA, and then, luckily we both ended up in LA because she was going to UCLA, and then I needed to be out there for like film and TV and all that other stuff. But I was actually the one who helped her realize, and I guess kind of come to terms with her own sexuality, because she would tell me stories and I was like, so, and she'd be like, no, and I'd be like, and she'd be like, no, and I'd be like, you'll get there. And then eventually she got there. And so that happened. The main reason why she was so against who she really was is obviously because of her upbringing and stuff like that. Her, like, very many people, especially Hispanic communities, very brought up either very Catholic or very Christian or very about the church, and it's like it's a mortal sin to even be attracted to the same sex and all this stuff. And it was really, really tough for her, obviously, because of course she's going to reject it and all this stuff. And, you know, we talked a lot about it for a long time. And, you know, throughout the years, she ended up accepting her stuff and all this stuff. And it was really great. One of the main things that happened, though, is that actually when we moved out to LA, that same family member that was against us being together, we hid the fact that we actually started living together. Yeah, and so instead of her living in the dorms or you know, the other places that she was supposed to be living in, she was living with me. It got to the point where obviously we had to hide the fact that we were living together. So what did we do? At one point that family member came up to LA, they wanted to see where Julie was living. And so I had to grab all of my stuff and literally leave the apartment and go stay at a friend's house. And then I did that. I did it for, I think, like a day or something like that. That wasn't the bad one. The bad one was actually like last year at some point, where that person was actually going to not stay with her, but they were going to stay very close, and they were going to stay there for a couple of days, and they were really expecting to hang out with her and her brother that was living there at the time. So I literally just grabbed all my stuff, including Kiki, and I just stayed at the apartment manager's place for a couple of days. And it was hilarious because like I would have to like wake up in the morning to take Kiki outside, and I would have to be like, is the person awake? Is the person there? Like, can I go take Kiki out? And she'd be like, yeah, okay, go do it now. And I'd be like, ugh. And I'll have to run outside and then, you know, do the thing and feed Kiki and get changed, and then like show up and be like, hey, I was in the neighborhood. How's it going? How is everyone? I'm writing a movie about it. It's fine. It was so stressful. There were things that were not really clicking towards the end of the relationship, and we ended up realizing that Julie was just not really into cis men. And I was like, cool, this probably isn't going to work out then. She's like, yeah, it's probably not going to work out. And so when we officially separated, at that point she was kind of already seeing somebody. They had met in like late November, early December, and that person was actually in LA, and they were like looking for a place to stay. In the meantime, they were staying with us in the apartment, and then the apocalypse happened. And then I got stuck in an apartment with my ex-girlfriend and her new girlfriend. So you can imagine the amount of awkward moments that I had. It was a lot. I'm not going to get fully into it, but it was a lot. And there was a lot that I was dealing with. I had just gone through a 4.5-year breakup. I was still right next to the person that I had broken up with. I was seeing them every single day. I was trying to give myself some space where I would like go down to the garage and like play with a soccer ball by myself for like hours on end. I would like play video games as often as I could, just literally just trying to do everything to remove myself from that situation. You can imagine just the emotional toll that I was going through. And on top of all of that, by the way, let's sprinkle in the fact I was literally in the middle of filming a short film version of a feature film that I had just booked. It was my first ever feature film that I booked. I was one of the main 2 leads. There was only 2 leads, and I was one of them. We were shooting the short film version of it. We still have 2 scenes left to film. Everything had to stop. I had booked a commercial. It was like my first ever acting commercial that I had booked. Everything stopped. Obviously I had to stop working at the gym because everything had stopped. And there was just so many things that happened all at once, and it was just like an absolute explosion. I know my situation is not a unique one. I know there were so many people that were dealing with probably even more intense things than what I was dealing with. but Jesus, just so much. I decided to sleep on the couch in the apartment because, like, am I going to sleep in the same bed as my ex-girlfriend, or am I going to sleep in the same bed as my ex-girlfriend's new girlfriend? Which one would you choose? And it was weird. It was just, truly, it was a lot. And then there were certain things that was happening. And again, I'm not going to get into it because it's very personal. I'm not going to get into it. It's a very personal matter. Very personal matter. And it's not only my side, right? It's not exclusively my story. She also has half of the story. And not only her, there's a lot of other things that were happening that, again, like, I'm not going to get into because it's not my business, and it's certainly not your business to get into. I don't want to talk. But that was the main reason why I moved across the country. And then after that, it was insane. Because it was absolutely like on a whim. It was like one day that I woke up and I was like, I'm done, I'm over it, I gotta get out of here. And it was I still remember, it was the Saturday before Easter, and I rented a car right then. I reserved the car for the very next day. Easter morning, I woke up, left at 10 in the morning. I literally dipped out 10 in the morning on Sunday, grabbed Kiki, grabbed very minimal amount of things, because initially my whole plan was that, like, oh, okay, whatever, I need to get away. I need to get, like, be in my own space for a little bit. I need to just not be here sleeping on a couch. I need to leave. Like I said, I grabbed as little things as possible, necessary things. Definitely grabbed my Xbox though, and I put everything in that rented car, including Kiki, and I got out of there. And I drove, and it literally took me 3 days exactly. I left at 10 in the morning, and I got to Miami at 10 in the morning on Wednesday. So the main reason why I drove so fast, to get here is because I don't have a car, so I had to rent a car, like I said, and I didn't want them to, like, charge me extra for, like, an extra day or anything like that. So I was, like, hauling. And it was interesting because the first night I stayed, where did I stay? In some, like, really janky hotel in, like, Arizona or something like that. The next night I stayed in Houston. I made it all the way to Houston with a friend. And then the next night I just, like, slept in the car in, like, Daytona. And then obviously I slept, like, for a few hours and drove straight to Miami. And it was an insane amount of emotions, right? Because on one end, I actually felt obviously amazing for being out of that situation. I felt amazing for being back home with my family, especially in that time. It was like April, and it was like, like the height of everything. And there was just like, I felt like I needed to be with my family, obviously. Anyway, so I got down here. I started doing things around the house, just like things that I've never done. I literally put up a fence with my cousin, and we came here. My mom and I came here, and I made, like, a little room for her in the garage. I started writing more. I started not just, like, writing more. I was, like, editing things that I had already written, and I'm, like, finishing them off. I'm starting a new thing, obviously, like I mentioned. In that time when I stopped recording, and it was like 4 or 5 months that I really didn't do anything, like, you gotta really realize, like, I was going through it, you know what I mean? And I was very, very fortunate that I was still able to go to therapy virtually. I was having, like, Zoom sessions with my therapist, and one of the last things that she told me, and it made me cry for sure, and it's probably gonna make me cry now. She said that she was actually, like, really proud of me because she saw the amount of work that I was putting in to just bettering myself, and not because of anything other than the fact that I actually wanted to be a better version of myself. I can't tell you how absolutely important it was for me. And if it wouldn't have been for those therapy sessions, and if it wouldn't have been for, being with my mom and my family, like, I will say this. 2020 has definitely been a year that has really shown me the people that I want to keep next to me. It has shown me how much more I should appreciate the people that I really want next to me. And it's really shown me the people that I don't want anywhere near me. And if you haven't gone through that yet, don't worry, the year is not over yet. I've met some absolutely amazing people. I've met some people that I felt that I've known for a while, that I felt that, we've been friends for like lifetimes, even though we've literally like just met. I've met some people online that I connected with in a really cool and interesting way. And I know it just sounds like I'm trying to reach for some sort of positive message in these moments, because, kind of everybody is. But honestly, like I'm, as crazy as it sounds, I'm kind of grateful for all of the things that happened, because it really put me in a completely different position than what I was in the beginning of the year. And I really thought that things were going to happen in a completely different way, obviously, even emotionally. Definitely more mature. Spiritually, I've become more mature. I've grown in every sort of way except for physically. I'm still a short little shit. But I wouldn't have been able to be here, truthfully, if it wouldn't have been for therapy. I feel like I've said this a lot, and I feel like I always kind of preach about therapy, and the main reason why I do that is you rarely hear cis men talk about the importance of therapy, especially somebody who grew up with the background that I did, especially in a Hispanic community. We don't talk about that. Therapy? Why do you want to go to therapy? Just like, you'll forget about it. Oh, cool. Oh, you're sad? Just don't be sad. Ah, that's right. Whoa, cured. Here's the interesting thing about therapy. It's not that the person that you're going to go talk to has all the answers. A lot of the time, what therapy does, it just forces you to verbalize all of the thoughts that are being scrambled in your head, because in reality, we have a very altered perception within our mind of our own thoughts. And like we're sitting there and we're going through like all these scenarios and all these things, and we think that we have all the answers, and in reality, like it's just being very jumbled up. But once you start verbalizing it, once you start actually saying the things out loud, we realize that we do have the answers, because we hear ourselves and we're just like, oh wait, I know how to fix that. Because a lot of us do that for other people already. And when we hear somebody else talk about their problems, we know what to do. We know how to help. And even if we don't, we understand that we don't. And we kind of say like, oh, okay, interesting. But, and then we talk about it or whatever. But that's the same thing that therapy does. I mean, a therapist literally, it's almost like your thoughts are all like crumpled up. They're like a shirt that's all like crumpled. And your therapist just comes out, and like after you actually present them the shirt, you didn't even see all like the crumple lines. You're just like, oh, look, there it is. And they just go out and they iron out and they straighten out your thoughts. And that's what it is. And that's what it's done for me. And it's really made me process things in a completely different way for the better. And I am eternally grateful. And now here's the thing. This episode's not going to be very long. This one's going to be maybe 20 something minutes. And if it's a little longer, cool. If it's shorter, that's fine. That was like the main point why I wanted to do this one specifically, because I was in a moment where I was just in a really big funk, and I was not doing very well. And luckily, I had people next to me that helped me out. I had options that I took, but I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wouldn't have done it, if I wouldn't have started when I was feeling at my best. You know what I mean? Because then it just kind of became a habit. And so please, check in on yourselves. Check in on the people next to you. Like, I know it's uncomfortable. I know. But like right now especially, we're in these moments where it's like, there's so much uncertainty. And so just like, it's fine. It's fine to have a bad day. It's fine to just kind of be like, right? But like, you got to sit back and allow yourself to have that bad day, and then start thinking about the why. Challenge your own thoughts. Challenge your own like circumstances in the way of like, okay, this is what's happening, but why is it happening? And then try and find a solution, or try and find a sense of acceptance, because that's always the most important part. Anyways, normally I know I try to be a little more light and funny, but I like talking about these deeper things as well. And if I can help somebody, even in the slightest little bit, then I feel that I've done my job. Thank you again. Next week, I don't know what we're going to talk about yet. We're going to talk about something, and it's going to be great. Here's the thing. So I had my guest, right? Chris. He was great. Loved him. So from now on, every 4th episode, at the end of every month, I'm going to have a guest. So we're going to do this one. We're going to do 2 more. 2 more? Yeah, we're going to do this one and 2 more by myself. And then the 4th one, I'm going to have a special guest. And I'm not going to say who it is yet, but I do have... Dang it. They're already down to do it. I just got to set it up and actually make it happen. So thank you again. This has been Out of Bounds, episode 8. Let's roll some credits. All right. Peace.